Hi, everybody. It's a fair day here. So, the other day I was contemplating a rainstorm. It was beautiful. I like looking at the rain. Um, I was thinking about some stuff that a local weather person had been saying. You know, weather folks have changed a lot since I was young. The used to be that weather people were just pretty people who wore expensive clothes and were real good on camera, and the weather forecasts were all prepared by someone else, sometimes very often somewhere else. These days they're all meteorologists and scientists and really know their stuff. Um, this one lady who's particularly good at explaining the science of the weather as she was doing the forecast was talking about storms, and she said that she's been for a long time describing storms as unstable. Like when we have a sunny day with not an enormous amount of wind, but a nice breeze, that's stable. But when it's raining and there's thunder and lightning, that's unstable. And I can see that. Um, in my sort of mediocre education on the weather, I know that a storm is when uh, a cold air mass and a hot air mass collide, and the hot air rushes to evenly distribute the heat throughout the entirety of both air masses, as they sort of merge together in one, and it causes wind whipping around, and the change in temperature just to the colder can cause excess moisture in the air to pour out, and the crashing together of big clouds of water vapor can cause electrical charges which result in thunder and lightning. And I think it's very interesting, and unstable seems to match. As I was watching the storm, I was contemplating it. I was thinking about storm gods, and I love storm gods. They're very interesting. Um, but it seemed to me that that idea of a storm being unstable can sort of explain some behavior in storm gods. I was thinking like of the time that Thor killed a dwarf just because he was in a bad mood, or Zeus sort of engaging in all sorts of picadillos regardless of what the consequences were going to be. And as I was contemplating this, I sort of heard the storm say to me, and I gotta preface this, I should probably do a whole video just on this, or a blog post or something. I saw some people posting on Twitter a couple weeks ago how you shouldn't go around claiming to hear the gods or that sort of thing, because it makes you seem crazy and people are going to lock you up. And that's a really good point. So I will say that when I hear the storm, it's taking place entirely in my imagination. That said, when you meditate for a very long period of time, over the course of years, you begin to realize that you can be in touch with entities beyond yourself, um, through the tool of imagination. And over a longer period of time of meditation, you begin to be able to recognize the difference between something that is a connection using your imagination and something that is merely a flight of fancy. Um, in any event, I took this as a communication from the storm, and it was annoyed at the word unstable. It sort of said, "Unstable? What do you mean unstable?" And I sort of got a feeling that it was deepening to being a communication from more than just the storm, but from something identifying itself as Zeus. I don't think the Zeus, but um, possibly, something representing that entity. But it said it pointed me to the planet Jupiter, and well, before it did that, it said, um, storms are not unstable. you can predict storms. This weather lady who uses the word unstable is able to predict storms with a fair degree of accuracy because they follow rules that we are capable of learning and following with our technology, and we know when there are certain conditions that there will be a storm. And people are always complaining about the accuracy of weather predictions, but they're so much better today than they are. Yes, we still get predictions of storms that don't happen, or fail to get a prediction of storm and have one happen, but most of the time when they say there's going to be a storm, there is. So the entity was saying that predictability, that the fact that it follows law, that there's law involved in the generation of storms, means that they're not unstable. Then it pointed predictably to the planet Jupiter, of course Jupiter being a Roman storm god who's very conflated with Zeus. It pointed to Jupiter, and it pointed to the red spot on Jupiter, and reminded me that that red spot is in fact a storm. It is a storm that is 3 times the diameter of the entire planet Earth. It is a storm that has raged for over 200 years, probably as much as 300 years, possibly significantly longer than that. Meaning this storm is older than the United States of America. The entity pointed out, if that's not stability, what is? You think that human life and human institutions may have some stability merely by their long-lastingness. Here's a storm longer than your entire nation, and you think a storm is unstable. Ha! It pointed out that there were storms on the sun that projected magnetism and radiation out at such levels that they engulf the entire Earth, and we don't have the wherewithal to even detect them. Our technology can be seriously affected by them, but we are blissfully unaware that these things happen, and yet they haven't destroyed us. There's a stability to the solar system and the rules that it works by that is totally stable. The entity went on to point out then that the galaxy, if you look at artists' renderings of it, because we don't really have any pictures of the galaxy from outside the galaxy yet. The galaxy is a spiral, and it swirls around a core of black holes, and in that swirling, that spiral, it looks just like pictures of a hurricane. So an argument could be made that the entire galaxy is a storm that lasts for millions, billions of years, and will last for millions, billions of years more, last longer than our civilization already, and will last much longer than it in the end. He went on to point out that the entire universe, the stars that form it, are precipitated out of gigantic clouds from the Big Bang. That active precipitation is like the entirety of the universe is rain coming out of these clouds, and that if all of reality is a storm, then unstable is not the right word for the storm. And as I sat down to record this, I did make a point of looking up instability just to make sure that I was 100% clear in the old noggin what the word actually means. And it did talk about the fact that something didn't last long. And you could see the point then that if all of reality is this precipitation, this storm, this infinite storm, if this storm is the creation, the ongoing creation of everything, then maybe unstable is a bad word for it. But it also occurred to me that at some point those clouds will run dry and stars will stop, you know, dripping out of them, and the galaxy spinning around those black holes is stars going down a drain to disappear and never be seen again. The, the dark matter that we know nothing at all about except that it's postulated to exist because we need to have more gravity in the equation of how the universe works in order to make all of our ideas of astrophysics work out. Um, it's like a black earth that's just absorbing this rain, and eventually, when the rain stops, what will become of it? What happens when the dark matter all dries out? Um, I don't know the answer to these questions. It seems to me that on an infinite time scale, maybe reality is in its entirety unstable. Um, but what I do think that I know out of this is that if you think you're going to commune with a simple nature spirit, it could well just turn out that the thing is damn near infinite, if not completely infinite, and you should be prepared for any particular spirit to be a lot bigger than you think it is. And that was fun, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And I'll see you later. Bye bye.